Hello, hello. I am Gina and this is
Claire.
And together we are talking everything MS. Yes. Yeah. And today's little episode, we're going to talk about Baclofen.
Yeah.
And I'm going to leave this, I'm going to send this one over to Claire because Claire has been taking Baclofen. So how long have you been taking it?
I think it was August last year.
Okay. And what's the reason for you taking it?
So, because my leg spasms had got too bad and at night, and it was disturbing my sleep, and they can spasm like every 5 to 8 seconds, and it's exhausting.
When you say spasm, do they actually move?
Oh yeah. I've even been in bed.
I think mine have started doing that a bit as well. It's like your little twitches almost.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been in bed, and David's next to me. I've got the quilt on. And sometimes the spasm is that bad that it lifts my leg up in the air, and the quilt goes open. It's like, hey, there's another one. So for years and years and years, I put off having it because I associated it with my friend who was diagnosed the same time as me, and she's
I'm thinking really what you're saying.
She's in a really bad place with her MS. There is no association. I just made the association. She's never had any medication, and she just progressed really badly. So I eventually gave in, and they worked for a little while. And I was given 30 milligrams a day, but I was starting on 5. So I was on 5 milligrams a day, took it at night before I went to sleep. And it worked for 2 months, maybe 3 months, possibly. And then I had to start upping it. And then when I upped the dosage, I was just like a zombie the next day. I just couldn't function, and I looked heavily medicated. But because it is a muscle relaxant, that's not just going to go straight to my left leg. It's going to go to my whole body.
Yeah.
And I believe that this is the reason why I've been falling over a lot. And it's horrible. It's just horrible when you fall over. There's nothing nice.
So. No, definitely not. It's like it's not only the fact that you get battered and bruised, it's your ego gets battered and bruised as well, depending where you fall over.
And it's a shock.
Yeah, it is a shock. It is a shock because you don't expect to fall over, even though we do sometimes.
Yeah. And I know everybody can fall over, but I was just doing it too often. And so I'm going to stop it. But this is the interesting thing as well. So I phoned my MS nurses yesterday to say, just to let you know that I'm coming off it. I didn't know whether I was supposed to or not. But the answer phone message said, only leave a message if it's urgent. And that's really sad.
Yeah.
That's really sad. Because there was something else I wanted to speak about. Like I keep getting mouth ulcers, which I've always suffered from for all my life, but more so. And there's a link of that with Tysabri, which is the medication, the DMT that I'm on.
Right, okay.
So that's not urgent, I don't think.
No, you're not going to die, are you? To be urgent is like death defying.
Yeah. And that's not the nurse's fault. It's just the situation, the way it is. So the thing with this Baclofen is you can't come off it like that. You have to wean yourself off it because It can really psychologically mess with your head. And I don't know if it already has, because I've been a bit low for quite a while. Not everybody would know that.
No.
So I'll just disclose that. I sent it out onto the World Wide Web. Recently I've been down, but kept it to myself. So I'm just a bit wary of how it's going to make me feel as I wean myself off the drug.
So are you getting any support with anybody else to help you do that?
No, well, there's not really anyone like close relation could do, but I went onto a Facebook group for MS, women with MS, and another group, just asking how people have found Baclofen. And some people said, yeah, it's good, but more people said, no, come off it.
Right, okay.
So before, what I would do to help with the spasms is I'd take magnesium, but a certain type of magnesium. Because I didn't know that there's all different types.
Well, I got stuff that you can actually rub into your leg, which feels like a salt. It's like a salt solution.
So Epsom salt baths are good as well. Apparently, I found out.
Apparently, yeah. Well, I've had the odd few. I wouldn't say, but then I don't know because I don't think my spasms, certainly not my spasms. Maybe for spasms they have been better. I didn't really notice.
I've got Epsom salts upstairs. I've had one bath with them. Yeah. But so before I took the Baclofen, I was on but magnesium and tonic water, because tonic water, the quinine in it helps with nerves and that. So what I've done is I've ordered some really expensive magnesium tablets, but they have the 3 things in it, though: magnesium citrate, malate, and the other one I can't pronounce, but begins with G, which are really good for nerves. So I thought I'll go mad and get some expensive, good quality ones that are rated highly, and I'll stick with the Aldi tonic water because it works. Balance it out, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. But then I think it's because what I've also been learning a lot about is actually almost blessing your food before you're having it. So taking it with the intention that it's going to help you, and actually almost say the words, this is going to help, this is going to help my legs feel. And again, use it in a positive way. So don't say this is going to help with my spasms, because then you're putting your focus on your spasms. This is going to help my legs feeling relaxed and, and strong, and actually feel into what you would like your legs to feel. So as you're taking your tonic water and your magnesium tablet, just create yourself a little affirmation around that. You know, this is really good.
That's a good idea.
You're telling yourself, telling your body that actually what you're taking is going to be really, really helpful for you.
Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah.
And again, it's just being more present. If you're going to spend all this money on the expensive tablets, then let's make them work, give them the best shot.
The thing is, I coped before, so I'm sure I can cope again.
Yeah.
I coped without the Baclofen before.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and I think that's just reminding ourselves that actually, and I think sometimes as well, that's one of my issues with taking meds really, is that, you know, you don't know what else they're going to do. They might solve one problem, but then another problem, you know, it's almost like then you need something else to solve that problem, and before you know it, you're taking all the bloody pills in the world, and it's not much fun.
It was interesting because, I mean, we got in contact because I'd seen you're managing MS naturally on Facebook, and although I was already having Tysabri, I've always been open to holistic ways. But just reading some people and some comments on Facebook and that have had no medication and they've been all right. They're doing okay, like you, like, you know, I was, I think it's because it hit me quite hard when I was first diagnosed. I think I was relapsing so often, and I was housebound for 6 weeks with the first big relapse.
Well, that's scary, isn't it?
Yeah, I was like 29.
That's very scary. And I think, you know, you would just trust what the doctor says, and the doctors are doing their best. It's not like they're trying to, you know, mess with you. They're trying to do their best and help you. I think the issue, certainly for me, is that at least now I think what's going on in my body is my body.
Yeah.
Whereas when you take medication, you're like, well, is that the medication, or is that my MS, or is that something else? Because of course with MS, you sort of have all these symptoms, but you just could be MS. It might be something else.
Yeah, I know.
You never really know, do you?
Like you say, with any medication you take, if you took a paracetamol, it can cause something else. It's a drug going into your body.
Yeah.
So,
it's a chemical. So it's worth. I don't know. I think it's worth weighing up your options, and I think this is why I would really love to have a neurologist type person who was open to all the different ways of dealing with MS, not just, you know, pharmaceuticals. And unfortunately our doctors are very much in the trained, you've got this problem, this is how we can solve it by this drug, this drug, this drug, this drug, and they're not open to actually, maybe if we did some breathing exercises, that might do the same thing. Or maybe if we did a little bit, you know, change the diet a little bit and worked out what your triggers are. And of course, stress is a major trigger for all of us.
I think stress has a lot to answer for with lots of conditions. Stress is, I think I used to think of stress as just like, oh, I'm stressed, you know, I'm a bit stressed and that. But stress has a lot to answer for.
Stress does have a lot to answer for, and I think that's part of what I'm doing in this program that I'm on. It's not just about learning about our emotions, it's about developing a practice that lowers your stress, so your sympathetic nervous system is not on high alert all the time, you know, ready to fight all those tigers that, you know, it thinks are out there, and actually calm it right down and recognize actually most of the time we are pretty safe. But we don't, our bodies don't know that because it's in this tense place of hyper alert.
But I think also that then falls into the category of daily life in the 21st century. You are never not contactable. Well, you could be if you bury your phone.
Yeah.
But do you know what I mean? You're never not contactable. We had more freedom when our phone was attached by a wire.
Oh,
I read that
definitely.
recently, and I think that's so true. We had
Yeah.
more freedom, but we don't.
You just went out, didn't you? You know, if I wanted to come and meet you, we'd have to arrange to meet at a certain time, and we'd have to be on time, or one of us would miss each other or be a bit late, you know. Whereas it's totally different. It's totally different now. And I think you're right. I think social media and the internet, really, it's not even social media, is it? It's the internet and our constant connection and constant information getting and information giving and sharing is adds to. And the fact that we know what's going on all over the place now as well. So we know everybody's little woes and everybody's, you know, countries across the world. I mean, we always had the news, but I think the news has ramped up a level, hasn't it? And now you watch the news 24/7 and
and what happened in London will be in Japan within seconds. Do you know what I mean? That information could be in Japan, that sort of thing. So the internet is a wonderful thing, but it's also
it's also a bit detrimental. So I suppose if we're going to end people, because we've talked quite a lot of this little session, we talked about Baclofen and how you're going to wean yourself off it. So have you got a bit of a plan for doing that?
Yeah, so I'm doing 5 milligrams a day for a week, and then I'm going to do 5 milligrams every other day next week, and then hopefully I'm off it, because I've been on the internet, funnily enough, on the best way to wean yourself off. Perfect. So there you go. There's why the internet is wonderful as well.
It is wonderful. And if anybody else is out there that's on Baclofen, is thinking about going on Baclofen, or is thinking about coming off Baclofen, then do get in touch, because we'd love to hear your experiences as well, because of course everybody's different.
On these Facebook groups, so people saying, yeah, I love it, works for me. So it's one of those things, isn't it? What works for some doesn't always work for others. And
absolutely. And it worked for you for a little while as well. So it's not like it, you know, it's been awful all along. It's just like, I think sometimes we use these things as a bit of a plaster, as a bit of a bandage to cover, you know, to solve a problem. And it only lasts for so long. It's only got a shelf life, I think. Yeah. And we also talked about Epsom salts, magnesium, tonic water. So this is different ways of managing spasms. So again, if anybody is out there and is dealing with spasms, or has found a more natural way to deal with spasms, then definitely let us know, because that would be really interesting to know how you got on with that one.
Somebody mentioned a transdermal magnesium, which we touched on just a minute ago, I think, before we recorded. So you can rub a cream on you, and that could help. But Epsom salts is another one, which are really cheap. Have an Epsom salt bath, and tonic water. It's a quinine in it that helps.
Excellent.
And it has to be full fat tonic water. We're not talking diet as well.
Okay, we don't do diet. No. So on that note, I don't know if anything else that we covered in there. Was there something else we talked about that I need to reflect on or not?
I don't think so.
No. Anything else that I talked about that I've forgotten to reflect on, let me know. And we look forward to speaking to you or sharing with you next time when we talk everything
MS.